Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of Yacach. And I am DeShawn. I'm here with Reverend Chris, of course, and I will be the one now interviewing him.
This is not fair. I'm supposed to be interviewing everybody. Anyways, go ahead.
But trust me, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you guys. And hopefully we can be on this journey together as we explore and take a deep look into relationships as we talk about Before You Jump. So this is one of the precious books that Reverend Chris has written especially for us. And when I say us, I mean everyone. Everyone can definitely learn from relationships, whether it's someone looking to be in a relationship, whether you're in a relationship, you're already married. There's so much to learn from this book, Before You Jump. So I'm going to ask a few questions, and hopefully you guys enjoy and learn a whole lot more. But before we start...
You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
It reminds me of lockdown.
Oh!
When we were going through this. How many years ago was that?
That was 4 years now.
4 years now, yeah, 4 years ago.
When we
and you were the one interviewing me about the same book. Anyway, go on. I digress.
Wow, time has passed. But no, truly, this is such a great opportunity. So we can ask more questions and get a different insight and different perspective about relationships.
Great.
So I guess before we start, we'll start off with simple questions.
Okay.
Nice, simple, good question. So I guess for someone that is interested in marriage being the ultimate goal of dating, what would you say would be like hard, hard...
Questions?
No, not hard questions, but things that you just shouldn't compromise on.
Hard and fast rules.
Yeah. Because I know you discuss a few of them in the book. So what are some like non-negotiables that you just should not compromise on in the beginning stages?
Okay, so I would say don't remember that like I said in the book, it's like an interview for a position that's lifelong. You're giving them the position that will be a lifelong position. So there are some things you must not compromise, the red flags. If it's red, it's red. Oh. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't compromise on it, because if you compromise on one thing, you'll be compromising on a plethora of things for the rest of your life. And you don't want to go into a relationship or a marriage to come out of it. So if it's red, let it go. Leave it alone. If they don't tick the boxes, they are not the right candidate. There are about 3 billion men, out of which about 1 billion or more are single. Hey. So have it at the back of your mind. If this is not the right candidate will be coming. It's out there, will be coming on shortly. So let this one go. Be quick to let somebody who is at this stage go, rather than trying to keep on to something that is not worth keeping.
Right.
I would say when you're married, I would say be quick to keep on to your marriage than let your marriage go. But for this side of marriage, be quick to let it go if it's not the right thing, the right person.
Right. Okay. So I know you mentioned if they don't tick certain boxes, if they don't have, I guess, certain characteristics that you should be looking for, should we have, I guess for those of us that are dating, should we have a list or some sort of criteria that we should be checking boxes to the people we are potentially dating?
I would say, like any business, is this the best fit? Where is this person going? Somewhere in the book I say that you cannot push a packed car. if this person's packed in life, you can't push him.
Right.
Because if you're, for instance, you're supposed to be a helpmeet, you're supposed to be a wife of somebody to help the person. If the person is going nowhere in life, I write somewhere in the book, if the person is over 30 years and they are now trying to start a rap career, obviously they are going nowhere.
Oh, boy.
You know what I mean? Or they are past 27, they want to become a sports person. Oh. Obviously, they've missed. They've missed the boat. You know, so there are things like that that I would say to you that is this person?
Be obvious.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a sister right here who was dating a guy who wanted to be a boxer, and the guy was over 25, wanting to be a boxer, hadn't started the boxing.
Oh.
And this lady swore that this guy's a good guy, he looks after me and everything. I kept saying, no. If this person hasn't been to the gym, he's over 24 years old and he wants to be a boxer. Obviously, he hasn't started and he's not going to start anytime soon. Because boxing, you have to start in your teens. You know, and look at the long story short, the relationship didn't go anywhere because the guy was going nowhere in life. I mean, at the age of 25, you haven't decided your career. You don't know what you're doing with your future. Obviously, this person is a packed car. It doesn't matter how decorated the car is, it's packed. Yeah. And if it's packed, it's going to remain packed. You can't push a packed car. So that's a red flag. You should just keep it moving, you know. And that is why I say that don't be too invested emotionally. And the way not to be too emotionally invested is not to sleep with the person at this stage in so that you are not emotionally, because once you're emotionally invested, you try to make excuses for the person. For it to work. If you're not emotionally invested and it doesn't work, it's obvious, you let the person go.
Yeah.
So don't be emotionally too invested. And if it is wrong, be honest with and truthful to yourself. Say, this is going nowhere. This is wrong. Let it go.
I know you mentioned as well that you should have counselors, seek counseling as well. I feel as if for people that are at that stage, if it's not working out, and let's just say they're delusional and they cannot see that it's not working out, how do you think, or do you think it's important for counseling to step in? Because you have friends and your family members that would try to give their own, you know, towards the relationship. And sometimes it's hard for the person in the relationship to see. So how would you, what advice would you say for the person to check themselves? I know it's kind of hard being in the moment. But for family and friends that are seeing it and they're telling you, this one isn't working out, this one is no good. How do you?
I would say that have somebody you trust and let a person be honest and truthful and tell you whether you're doing the right thing or not. You know, I had my pastor and I trusted him at the time, and I went to him and said that, well, I've seen this lady and I really like her and everything. What do you think? So my pastor said to me, give me a few weeks, let me check her out because I haven't really looked at her. Let me check her out. So my pastor went, did his own background checks and came back and said, well, I think she's all right, but let's still keep, let's give it a few more weeks, a few more months to look. I said, okay, fair enough, you know. So I'm just saying that because I trusted him. If he had come to say, no, this is not, and this is not, that would have been it. I would have, because I trusted him that much. He's not emotionally invested, so he'd be honest and say, yes. Because he was looking out for me from the angle of more like, because he knew where I was going as. I was going to be a pastor. I wasn't the pastor then, but he knew I was going to go there. So he wanted to be sure that the person I chose was the right person. I mean, at the time, there were so many people trying to come in because I was No, I wasn't a hot
It was
cake.
hot
No.
commodity.
I wasn't a hot
Commodity.
cake. No. I wasn't, but because you know how it is. You're young. You just finished school. I had my 2-bed flat. I had my car. I was working.
There were options.
So that they're like, you know, no, not this one. No, not that one. No, not that one. And I trusted my pastor,
Right.
Because apart from him being my pastor, he was my friend,
Right.
So, and he was somebody who looked out for me. So I was like, it's okay.
That's key. That's actually important.
Yeah.
Because trust goes a long way for both sides.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to be honest and truthful to that person, and then they in return can do the same. So I do hope that we all have that person or persons that we can trust with these hard matters, because these are important. When we're dealing with life situation, love life, relationships, these are hard decisions to make.
That's why I said I don't be too emotionally invested, so that when the person is honest and says this is not gonna work, you can easily walk away.
So what about when it comes to persons that are already married, and let's just say there's some hard times in the relationship and they want to seek counseling? What if is it advisable, if it seems as if things are going hard in the marriage, to stay doing counseling? At what point do you say counseling is not working, or is it a thing? Do you keep going at it? Do you try to stay in the marriage to make it work? I know every situation is different, so we're just generalizing it for now. But is there ever a point where you would say counseling just won't work in this situation?
You know, what makes marriage difficult is that both parties have their own will and they have their own desires and everything. If both parties are committed to making the marriage work, 9.5 times out of 10 it will, with counseling, no matter how difficult the situation gets. If both are committed to seeing the marriage work, all the years of my experience, what I can say about these such difficulties, that maybe one party is willing to see it work, the other is already checked out. And if one party is checked out, there's very little the counselor can do. There's very little anybody can do. If somebody says, I want out, I don't want it anymore, you can bring counselors from the North Pole.
It wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter, you know. So at the point, there's not necessary for a counselor to keep hammering. We can pray, we can ask God to soften the party's heart, but if they've checked out, it's difficult. So if both are committed to seeing the marriage work, then there's always a chance for it to work with counseling and prayer, yes.
So would you say that counseling is important before marriage, as important as it is during marriage?
Counseling is important throughout marriage, whether there's a problem or there's not. I mean, I like doing post-marriage counseling where there's no issue. I just call the couple in and we just have a conversation.
Right.
I think that works better when there's no issue. We are not dealing with an issue. We're just talking. Because then we can reiterate on a few points that we may have discussed a few years back or a few before marriage that you didn't even take seriously. But now you're seeing some of the things playing out and you can now identify them and talk about them. So for me as a marriage counselor, that's where I come alive, because I know that I'm making a positive impact in the marriage.
Right.
So, and if they are open and honest, we can have a good conversation, and I can help build on the relationship, make it even more solid than it is. So post-marriage counseling is I call it like MOT. You always go, I mean, it's like you're driving a car, every year you go for servicing, and then go for an MOT. So you come for servicing, that's the counseling. Then after, I set you some questions with some practical questions, and that's the MOT to check how solid the marriage is.
I like that.
And then we take it from there.
Okay. That sounds good. So definitely, guys, get your counseling done every so often. It's important. It's crucial. So I also wanted to mention, I know you talked about temperaments as well in the book. And for me, someone that's getting into this whole temperament thing, meaning that I'm just learning now my temperament, how important is it when finding a partner, or like, should it be an important factor when you're dating or even in marriage? Because I know temperament sometimes could be on the extreme end, as well as it could just not be as, on the spectrum at all. But how does it play in terms of the dynamics between two people?
Temperament helps in the sense that it arms you to know what to expect and to know how to deal with certain characters and certain issues when they come up in a marriage. So it's important to know the temperament of your spouse, know the strengths and the weaknesses of the spouse, so that you're able to cover the weaknesses. For instance, if you have a phlegmatic who is not easily pushed, they have their strengths, but they have their weaknesses.
Yeah.
If you're a spouse, you know how to cover their weaknesses to make them solid. So temperament is very important. You must know your spouse's temperament and know yours and your weaknesses so that you can complement each other beautifully.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, Reverend Chris, this was delightful. I really appreciate it. Thank you for investing your time, being with me, for writing this book. I hope you guys go and purchase it. But this was amazing. Just learning about, who you are as a person, how you interact with other people, the dynamics in relationships, and what to look for before marriage, during marriage, and just to make things complement each other beautifully. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. And please come back and join us again for our next episode. Thank you so much, Reverend Chris.
Hey, my pleasure all the time.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Shalom.